All right, welcome back, y'all. We are done. We have hit the end of the day as it relates to the Diddy trial. This is actually week 4, day 14, but it's my 5th day on site here in New York City. And we are looking at the courthouse right behind me. Just a few minutes ago, the family was here. We're talking Justin Combs, Christian Combs, Mama Combs, a girlfriend of one of the Combs boys. We have the publicist here. We have Sean Combs' sister. She was here. Listen, it's been an explosive day. It's been a day. The courtroom has been packed. The judge was upset. People leaked the true identity of Jane Doe. The judge was petitioned by the prosecution to set forth strict rules and regulations. They have identified the mold. They have identified the leak. And let me just tell you something. If you have the privilege of being here as a journalist, if you have the privilege of being here as a public, and if you have the privilege of being here as a blogger, y'all have some decency and respect to the wishes of the court. It is a blessing to be here. Let's be respectful. That's all I have to say about that. But listen, explosive day starting yesterday, but worked her way all the way up today from Jane Doe regarding Diddy, the freak offs, like marathon sex sessions, y'all. And when I left out, she had just admitted that she became jealous of Diddy's relationship with Young Miami. She actually did. And there were detailed text messages of her confronting Diddy regarding how he treated her when he began to date Young Miami. And according to Jane Doe, at one point she did notice by a social media post via Instagram, that Diddy was involved with Young Miami, and she confronted him about it, and he actually referred to Young Miami as a business partner. So listen, some of y'all may have been correct when you said you feel like that was a business deal that was purely orchestrated for marketing purposes between Diddy and Young Miami. And I think I have to agree. I do believe, if I have to use my common sense, it may have started off that way, but somehow at one point, I believe it transitioned into a sexual relationship. Take from it what you may, but let's get into it. I'm going to start a little bit backwards just to give you that important information regarding her disdain, because she said he showed Young Miami love. And what made her confront Diddy is after the what do I want to call it? After the devastating testimony of what happened on her birthday in February of 2023, where Diddy actually, I said 18 to 20 hours. I stand corrected. If I'm correct in what I just heard in there, it was a 30-hour freak off, y'all, where she had been up for days. And I'm going to pick up where I left off, where for her birthday, Diddy had Jane Doe to fly into Miami under the guise of celebrating her birthday. And when she got there, the prosecution asked her, "What did you expect when you arrived in Miami?" And she said, "I expected dinner, of course. And of course, I expected a consensual relationship and maybe going out and partying. But what I did not expect is to have entertainment." And at this point, what we've come to learn is that the male escorts were referred to as entertainment, okay? So she said she had a nice dinner with Diddy in a hotel restaurant. And at one point, he was like, "Are you ready for entertainment?" And she says, "What? Entertainment? I thought I told you that I'm not with that. I don't want that right now. It's my birthday. I just want it to be me and you." And Diddy, she said, he retorted, his rebuttal was, "Lighten up. I just want to have some fun for your birthday." And that's when they finished up the dinner. They get to the room. It's important for me to insert at this point, what I did learn today is the rooms were used for different reasons. So when Diddy would have his assistants book the room, KK has been named as the assistant to book the room. So when KK would book the room, she would actually book 2 rooms, one for the freak offs and the sex marathons. And the way they counted the free costs were in cycles, right? If it's one man, and the cycles could last anywhere between 8 to 20 to 30 hours, y'all. That's one cycle. Okay, so she gets into the room after dinner. There is an escort there by the name of Leo. She came to name Leo Italian. Give me 1 second. She came to name Leo Italian. So, you know, he's a white guy, right? But for whatever reason, she didn't feel comfortable. Now, Diddy prefers for her to have sex unprotected. And I'm going to say, Cassie also had sex unprotected. So it looks like the trend was whatever freaky stuff he was into, whatever his sexual desires and appetites were, he enjoyed watching while the two engaged unprotected. This time she insisted that she have protection and use a condom with Leo, the Italian. After some back and forth, Diddy reluctantly gave in. She said he was not pleased. He gave the Italian a condom to use, but he was not pleased. He walked in and out. She felt like he browbeated her. He just wasn't happy. He was disgruntled. He was cold. He was disconnected. It was somewhat menacing, according to her. Now, I'm just sharing with you her testimony. So she said, Leo, when he finished, right, they checked out of the freak off room and checked into a different room. And y'all, Diddy had the nerve to throw this girl a birthday party. She had balloons, flowers, cake, champagne, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? They go out, they have a good time. She did testify that because he threw her a birthday party, the prosecution asked her, how did you feel? She said, I felt happy. I felt loved. I felt desired. I wanted more of that. That's what I've always wanted with him, which is the primary reason that I've done some of the things that I really didn't want to do by way of freak offs and sleeping with so many different men. I just wanted him to want me in the way that I wanted him. So they leave the birthday party, they come back to the hotel, and he has three different men waiting for her. And this lasted, y'all, not even counting Leo. This was an additional 18 hours of sex sessions and a marathon. Once she gets done with that, according to Jane Doe, the next day, the prosecution says, can you tell us what happened with your communication with Diddy? She said, yeah, I sent him a text message. What did that text message say? I asked him, why did he lie to me? Y'all watch this. She goes, explain to us what you mean by why did he lie to you? She goes, yes, he left me in the hotel room. He left me in the hotel room and he took off and he went on vacation to Turks and Caicos with Young Miami, y'all, for her birthday. And she said for years she had been begging Diddy to please take me somewhere. Please take me on vacation. Only to come to find out that he left her in a hotel. He lied about his whereabouts and he actually left her there to go celebrate and roll the red carpet out and romanticize and just do all of these lovely things for Young Miami. She said she felt hurt. She broke down. And in the text message, she confronted him. How dare you? How dare you treat me this way when I just went 20, no, she said 30 to 40 hours for you. And I did it with multiple men. At that point, she and Diddy, they had an explosive confrontation via text message. And let me share the text with you. Okay. Hold on, give me 1 second. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm reading them right there. Okay. She said that let's start with the text message. She got jealous and she got jealous of and my year may be wrong because she's talked so low. And of course, the transcripts are not available just right now. But she got jealous of the birthday that he did for Young Miami. So my question to you is when is Young Miami's birthday? Is it February or late January? I do know Jane Doe's birthday, according to her, is in early February. So Young Miami's birthday may be somewhere along either somewhere in the same week or very close. But she became upset about that. And she said she confronted Diddy about his relationship with this woman. And keep in mind, Young Miami was not referred to as her name. She was referred to as this woman and a business partner, right? And Diddy told her that this was a business partner. Now, let me back up a little bit. Based on the testimony and the history and the trends that I've seen throughout the courtroom this week, What it appears to me is that is as it's as if Diddy seemed to procreate, watch this, procreate with black women, allow them to have his children, and then he would use the Asian women for freak offs, for sex. Somebody said, would you refer to them as sex slaves? I'm not really sure of the terminology that I want to use, so I'm going to pause on that. But he did utilize them for his sexual pleasures. Okay, so are you following me? From what I've picked up on, he will procreate with black women, not marry them, but establish a legacy with them by way of children, bloodlines, but then utilize a particular demographic of women for freak offs. Let's continue. She confronted him because and the prosecution asked her why. She said, because I started to notice I'm on the hamster wheel and I want it off. And what I've come to realize is I get housed up in hotels for days at a time on these drug binges, and I'm doing all of these sex acts with all of these different men for him in exchange for promises of date night. So what it seems like is she would give in to the freak offs, and Diddy would tell her, come on. She was like, I want love, I want date night, I want tenderness, I want us to be open in public as a couple. And Diddy would promise her, listen, if you go ahead and do the hotel night, if you go ahead and do the freak off, then we'll have a date night. We'll have time together. But let's go ahead and get this out the way so that we can have our private time. The prosecution asked her, what happens? So you would do your freak off, you would do hotel nights with him. And then what will happen? She said, well, he would renege. He would renege on his promises of having date night. He would renege on his promises of being kind, taking me on vacation, taking me to dinner, treating me. And she broke down on the stand. And I think what she was inferring is at some point she began to realize that she was not of importance to him. She was being treated like a prostitute, for lack of a better word. And I think it was a huge dose of reality for her on the witness stand, and she broke down. And I think she broke down. Okay, I think in reality it hit her, and she was begging for acceptance. She was begging to be validated, and he refused to give her that. So she confronted him because she didn't understand why. She didn't understand, and her words were, "I did so much that night." And the prosecution said, "What do you mean by so much?" She said, "I was with several different men that night in the same room, and that's something I've never done before in that fashion for him." And you would think that he would at least see the value in me, but he didn't. Instead, he took another woman to Turks and Caicos. And that place is so important to him. And he didn't want to take me. And it made me jealous. I was mad. And why would he do this for her and not do it for me? And she said that he seemed to romanticize young Miami. And even went as far as telling her one time, young Miami has her own money. And even Cassie bought him gifts, but she didn't have anything to offer him. Imagine that. But let me continue. So hold on. So she confronted him and she continued to say, you have me in these hotels doing drugs for days at a time, doing freaky shit. I am done with you. I'm done with you. I want off the hamster wheel. Um, and the prosecution said, let's back up. Can you tell us again and explain to the jury what happened in May of 2021 after you completed your first hotel night with Mr. Combs? She said after her first freak off with Diddy, he took her out on a yacht. He took her out on the yacht. Now, let's back up because yesterday I explained to you all that when Jane Doe explained how she felt and when she was asked by the prosecution, how do you feel? How did you feel after completing your first hotel night? She said, I felt exhilarated. I was happy. I liked it. It made me feel good. I wanted to do it again. Now I'm starting to realize or ask myself, was it the freak off or was it the reward after the freak off? And according to today's testimony, it may be that the rewards after the freak off, meaning the trips on the yacht, the dates on the yacht, the champagne, I think she began to fall in love with the lifestyle. And as she began to fall in love with the lifestyle of dating a billionaire, as he began to pull back and put her in her place as it relates to how he saw her and how he identified her as nothing but a sex, whatever we want to call it, she took up issue with that, okay? Now, watch this. She told him she was done. And also, when she told him she was done, she reminded him in the text message that she read out loud, "You use me. You keep me up for 3 to 4 days straight on drugs. You use me for sex. And you never sleep. You don't let me sleep." So she's basically saying this. And what it took me back to is it took me back to the interview that he and Young Miami did. And she jokingly said, "The people want to know, how long can you go?" And I don't know if y'all remember that. And he goes, "You know how long I can go." She goes, "I do. But the people want to know." He said, "But I just told you. You know how long I can go." And she said, "This mofo never sleep." And she made a joke out of it. In that moment when Jane Doe says, "You keep me up all the time, 3 to 4 days straight, and you don't let me sleep," it hit home. The reference point that Young Miami made in her interview on Carisha Please, right? Regarding how he doesn't sleep. So in that moment, just me sitting there, I wondered to myself, I said, I wonder how he's sleeping now that he's in jail. No pun intended. No pun intended, but I really wonder how he's sleeping, or can he sleep, or is he medicated in jail? Because to me, I'm gonna go off topic for a second. I'm gonna say those demons are eating your ass up. Those demons have to be eating you up. That for years and years on end, you've gotten to a point, or he's gotten to a point where he can't sleep, y'all. He can't sleep. He stays up for days and days at a time. And not only does he stay up for days and days at a time, according to the testimony, there's an expectation, or maybe an expectation, for the women to stay up too and please him and fulfill his fantasies. But let's keep going, okay? She said she was mad. She admitted that under oath, and she said she was mad that he was showing Young Miami romantic gestures, but did nothing for her. So her and Diddy go back and forth. Her birthday's in February, and she said she was conflicted. The day she did that 30 to 40 hour sex marathon, the day after her birthday, he left her ass in that hotel room. He jumped on his private jet and he got out of there. And it seems to be like this correlation. Diddy seems to do a really good job of keeping the girls that are used for sex in that place, and the girls that he somewhat have maybe a little bit of admiration for. He kind of wines and dines them. But we come to know that Miami was not special, right? Because she also got introduced to that lifestyle. And listen, don't trust me. Go do your research. There's also another interview where he and Miami were talking, and he says, "Do you remember your first time going off grid?" Remember that, because I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about what it means now. We learned yesterday what it means to go off grid. And according to Jane Doe, I'll just tell you now, when Diddy says going off grid, what he does is what she said is he likes his women to be wild, have fun, loosen up. Let your mind wander sexually. Dude, let's go. Be bold. Like going off grid means it's whatever, baby. Ain't no rules. That's what he means. So when you hear in Diddy's camp somebody says going off grid, I thought it was maybe a physical location. No, it's a state of mind. Just FYI. So according to her, right, he did nothing for her. And she was conflicted because she went off grid the night of her birthday. She did 30 to 40 hours of a marathon, and she felt like crap. He left her. So the text, she confronts him, "Why you lie to me? You left me. You're on vacation with her." To which he responded, "Mind your business." Not in those words, but mind your business. And actually, let me go a little bit deeper. At what point and throughout the proceedings and the direct examination, they played an audio of Diddy. Diddy left her audio in response to a text message that she sent to him, confronting him about Young Miami yet again. And I'm going to paraphrase, but I'm just going to give you the gist of the conversation. He basically said, "Who the fuck do you think you are questioning me? I can do what the fuck I want to do, even if I just finish fucking her. That's none of your business. And what you're not going to do is you're not going to call me, curse me out, and charge me up about what I have going on with her. And because you are stressing me out," watch this, And because you are stressing me out, I don't like it. We just need to be friends. Period, point blank. Period, point blank. Hold on, and let me get to the text. At that point, the prosecution asked her to read, well, what is it that you said? What was your response? How did you feel about that? She said, she confronted him because at that point, when she was confronting him, he was in Turks and Caicos, y'all. Nasty work with Young Miami. Nasty work. So they were going back and forth while he was on vacation. And this is where I kind of feel like the prosecution may have gotten themselves in a jam and they completely deconstructed all of the good work that they've done this morning. Because when they opened up that line of questioning, what it did is it reintroduced the fact that this is consensual. And what it seems to be, I'm talking about later on in the afternoon, that she only had a problem with the freak offs when she didn't get what she thought she deserves in exchange for the freak offs, which was love, attention, a committed relationship, one-on-one time. She wanted things to go back how they used to be when he wooed her. When he wooed her, and he would just it would just be her and him. It's almost like chasing a high, right? And they asked her, what happened the day after? So you're fighting with him. You're very upset that he takes another woman, right, off to vacation. He leaves you in a hotel room. And at that point, in one of the text messages, she told Diddy, I want off the hamster wheel. I want off the hamster wheel. And he said to her, I'm tired of you throwing up sex in my face. You're jealous. You compare yourself to other women. I don't want you no more. Let's break up. I've already told you I see other women. You're not going to hound me. You're not going to stress me. And she told him, I can't believe you're doing this to me. I was with 3 guys for you. Um, and I'm watching you online. I'm watching these videos. So I guess Young Miami was living it up, baby. And she was watching it, right? So what Diddy had done, he says, anything you've ever asked me for, I've given to you. So they asked her, what happened? So what were you doing? She said he did pay. When he took Young Miami to Turks and Caicos, he had paid for her and her girlfriends to go to dinner, right? But he wasn't there. They said, was he at the dinner party? She said, no. No, but he did send her on a birthday outing with her friends. Now, she responded to Diddy saying, I don't want you no more. Let's break up. She goes, really? Really? You have the audacity? Are you serious? You're really going to break up with me while you're on vacation with another woman after I did 30 to 40 hours for you and you lied to me? You're the one that's stressing me out. You're the one that's stressing me out. And Diddy responded, I said, let's be friends. I'm done with you. I'm done with these long ass text messages that you're sending me. All you do is complain. You never tell me anything I do right. You're always complaining about what I do wrong. She challenged his definition of treating her good. And then she broke down again on the stand because I think she's just in this realm where she's probably looking at herself and said, asking herself, what have I done? Right? And then he said, like I said, anything you've asked, I've done for you. And she says, no, I want to travel with you. I want to make love to you. I want us to be together. I want to be on a private jet. I want to go to Turks and Caicos. I want to be the one next to you. Now, here's the thing. Before we go too hard, because now I'm like, damn, the prosecution, you're shooting yourself in the foot because this girl is saying, in exchange for pre-cops, I just want to be his woman. I want to be the main one. I want to be the end all be all. I don't know what the prosecution's strategy is for revisiting that, but it's not good because you were up and you lost me. And not only did you lose me, because when you start to lose me, I'm like, gosh, here we go. I'm looking at the jury. Y'all, why was one of the jurors asleep? I kid you not. One of the jurors was asleep. And that's when I said, oh, the prosecution is down bad. So much so that the judge, a few moments later said, come on, everybody, let's just take a break. They're still up there right now. I came down to give you this commentary, but listen, she reiterated that she loved him. She wanted to be together. And I got to make sure I don't slip up and say her name. So Diddy put her on ice. In between her texting him these long paragraphs of what she wished he would give her, he wouldn't respond for 2 to 3 days at a time. And they had gone 12 days without talking. At one point, she told him, fuck you. Who do you think you are? Don't call me ever again. You're going to miss me. Don't you ever come running back to me. And 12 days later, the prosecution said, let's look at text. So it looks like he spent Valentine's Day in 2023 when Young Miami. I could be wrong, but it looks like he spent Valentine's Day with her. And then a few weeks later, she said out the blue, Diddy text her, what you doing? Good morning. What you doing? Like nothing ever happened. At that point, the judge was like, listen, everybody take a break. Um, but the jury walked out. And the judge, she was about to walk off the witness stand. And the judge leaned over and he was talking to her. And I saw him gesture like this, and he leaned over. And what I'm guessing is that the judge may have asked her if she needed time, if she just needed time to take a breath, because they talked for quite a bit. And I appreciate the tenderness from the judge because it had been a long day for her. She had been on a witness stand for quite some time. So I found that human moment to be very important because no matter what we think, right, these are still human beings. Prayers to all parties involved. These are still human beings. And the fact that he would issue such a courtesy is a in my book. So let me go back. I want to start all over. And I may have to do a part two to this because it's long. So today, let's start about this morning, and I'm going to give you a little bit of description regarding Diddy. I started at the end, but I know a lot of you like to, hey, what did he have on? What was his demeanor? So today he had on a navy sweater, navy pants, and he seemed to be somewhat, I wrote the word reset, happy, okay? The young lady next to me, Genesis, said, oh my God, the 19-year-old from Puerto Rico, she said, oh my God, he looks so old. I said, really? She goes, oh my God, he's aged. So let me say this. To me, he looked okay. But I'm a woman of a particular age. So to the young folks, they feel like he looked old as hell. Just FYI, she said he looked old as hell. She was shocked. She was visibly shocked at how he looked. So I guess he's aged. I just want to say that. That's important. At one point, I did notice Brian Still patted Diddy on the back, and I'm guessing to reassure him. Yesterday was a long day. He got his ass kicked. The defense got their ass kicked on yesterday. So he turned around at one point and he did blow a kiss to his mom, Janice Combs. Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the defense team before I go into the family. I counted Diddy's defense team. There's at least 15 individuals from a legal perspective that's working on his behalf. One thing I did learn today is that the feds have 6 years of text messages. Ooh, the feds, baby. When I tell you when they want you, they will get you. They have 6 years of text messages between Diddy's assistants. I'm not sure what's coming down the pipeline, but they got stack upon stack upon stack upon stack of receipts. Just FYI. Okay. Another thing is, I feel as if the prosecution did a really good job this morning of building their case on coercion, okay, with the videos and the rent. We'll talk about that. Diddy didn't really court these women. The women that you see him out with of a particular demographic, he really didn't court them. If you're around Diddy and you are of a particular look, I don't care how it starts off, I'm gonna tell you how it finishes. It finishes off in freak offs. It finishes off in freak offs. So let me be honest with you. And it sounds like he was very honest and open with each and every one of them about, listen, you're not my main thing. I can do what I want to do, and this is your assignment with me. So I just want to say, ladies, please listen to these men when they're telling you they don't want you and they're not ready for a relationship. When you hear that, according to what I heard in that courtroom, you probably want to run, or you just may find yourself in a freak off situation, okay? That's it, that's all. So I want to shift on over. I don't know if I want to be messy. Should I be messy? No, I'm not going to be messy. I'm going to go with my first thought. So let me talk a little bit about the family. Today's Diddy's sister was there. Diddy's sister was in the courthouse yesterday. She's an older woman. I don't know her age. I'm going to say between late 40s to 50s. Okay. Here's the thing. His sister was there. His mother was there. His publicist was there. Something, his baby mama was there. The Asian girl that just had the youngest child. Um, Two of his sons were here. Let me make sure they're not behind me, child, while I'm gossiping. Hold on. All right, we good. Two of his sons were here. Christian Combs was here, and oh Lord, hold on. Justin was here today. Hold on. Follow me. I'm going somewhere with this. I want to back up to the sister and the mom. Let me talk a little bit about their complexion. Why is this important? I don't know, but I have a funny feeling and a sneaky suspicion that something about their complexion and his complexion, you have people that don't like the color of their skin. Okay. And I think the complexion may tie into his sexual preferences when it comes to picking a woman of a particular hue in order to dominate and control in the bedroom. His mom is a very dark woman, very dark. I'm a chocolate girl. They're a little bit darker than me. His sister is a darker woman, and Diddy is a darker man. They're all about the same hue. And I think Diddy may have grown up. This is just me guessing because I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. I'm guessing that maybe he came up with the complex about being dark skinned, or maybe he was teased regarding being of a darker skin. But as I'm watching his sister and I'm watching his mom, did you know they didn't touch? They didn't speak. They didn't look at each other. Something, Miss Janice, we got to talk. We got to talk, Mama Combs, because you have you have to have had to inflict some type of psychological and or childhood trauma on your children. You and your daughter did not even embrace. Both of you looked straight ahead and you acted as if neither one of you existed to the other. I caught that. I watched that. I have a lot of questions. The other thing is I want to talk about Christian Combs. He's of a darker skin. He's about the same skin tone as his father. And listen, okay. Can I talk? Sheba, we're done. Give me 1 second, y'all. Huh? All right. Let me, okay. They're going to come out. You can, I'll get it. I'll get it. He's trying to help me out to say that the family's coming out. I believe, strongly believe, that Christian Combs is a dope head. He looks horrible. Now, there is this look that I talked about when you engage in a particular unhealthy lifestyle where you look washed out, dirty, dusty. I don't care how much money you got. It's just something about you. He was zombied out. Very, very tall, zombied out, didn't look clean, dressed from the head to the toe, just looked unclean, like he was on something. And in that moment, I say he just like his daddy. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but Diddy to me was a functioning addict. The more testimony I hear, and when that young boy walked through there, I said, Lord have mercy. Child, he is as high as a kite. And I don't think he was on weed. He had to have been on something else. He was just gone. He doesn't look responsible. I mean, it's just something, y'all. And I'm gonna leave that there with the kids. I'm gonna leave that there with the kids, okay? So I wanted to hone in on that. Um, it was a continuation of day 18 with the prosecution questioning Jane Doe. When Jane Doe walked in, she had on the same outfit that she had on yesterday. I actually noticed her smile at the lead prosecutor. She got on the stand. She seemed to possess a deeper level of comfort. She smiled at somebody in the audience, but I didn't catch who it was. Diddy was honed in on her. He was honed in on her as if he was attempting to make eye contact. Even when she got on and off the witness stand, you could see he was trying to connect with her in a way. And I'm not sure in what way, but I did notice his attempts, okay? I also noticed that today, since the judge issued a direct order for him not to be nodding at the jury, he utilized his body to communicate with his team. I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. So I did catch that. Um, it's neither here nor there. I guess if I was in those circumstances, I would be trying to find a way to put out an SOS too. So, anywho, today we learned about, let me see. I want to make sure I'm saying the right stuff. Hold on, give me 1 second. The prosecution starts off their line of questioning, asking her how the trips to Vegas, how were they funded? How many times did she go? What means of transportation did they use? She says she went 5 times to Vegas. They utilized his private jet. And what happened when you got to Vegas? She said when they got to Vegas, we had hotel night. Hotel night is a new word for freak offs. Okay. Listen, let me tell you something. Did you know Diddy was still having freak offs even after Cassie won her lawsuit? Diddy was still having hotel nights even after Cassie won her lawsuit. I'm gonna leave that right there. Let's continue. So they went to Vegas 5 times. What happened? They would have hotel entertainment. Now you know entertainment is code word for escorts. Did you have sex with them? Yes, I did. She said Diddy would be able to, he would start to text her about what he liked, what he wanted. I need you to go off grid for me. And of course, you know, off grid, I told you a little bit earlier, that means no rules. I need you to be free. Go ahead and keep it wild, keep it sexy. Let loose. I can hear him saying that. Let loose. Let's go. So, anywho, no protection in Vegas. She said she asked him 2 times for condoms, but she was not allowed to use protection according to her testimony. And they said, when you would ask for protection, what was his response? How did he respond to that? She said his tone was condescending. He would just look at her. Um, and he told her, listen, I don't want you to use no condoms. I want to see it. I want to be able to look at it. Um, hold on. She, oh, they asked her who was the entertainment for Vegas. The entertainment for Vegas was Dawn, and Dawn is an escort that they would use from Cowboys and Angels, okay? She did ask for protection twice throughout for her entire cycle of freak offs from 2021 to 2023. One time she asked for protection with Dawn. That was her first time, you know, doing a freak off with Diddy. And of course, the second time I told you she asked for protection is with the white guy named Leo, whom she nicknamed the Italian. For some reason, she wanted protection with Leo. Okay, that's when Diddy got an attitude, but at the end, he kind of he gave in and told him, here, man, go ahead and put on a condom. So she's established with the jury and those in the courtroom. I've asked him for protection twice, even though he said no. He denied me each and every time, with the exception of one time, which was with Leo. Okay. Um, I learned something. She said, according to her, that the entertainment was not allowed to use drugs. I think that's important. The entertainment would remain sober, and she and Diddy would be as high as kites. So the entertainment was not allowed to utilize drugs. Um, they asked her who would make the accommodations for the room. She implicated and named KK, which is Diddy's right hand man, AKA personal assistant. At one point, they did play a recording of her in the hotel room during a freak off. They played it for us in the courtroom of her and Diddy going back and forth. They had a little rift or a tiff about her wanting Dawn to wear the not, yeah, it was Dawn to wear the condom. They played the iPhone recording, and they also, you know, to show the court that he would deny her the ability to protect herself. Now, the prosecution did a really good job because they asked her, why did you, as a woman, feel like you needed to ask permission of how you wanted your body to be treated? And her response is, I wanted to please my partner. I wanted to please him. I wanted to please him. I wanted to be with him. I wanted him to love me. Let's back up. In that recording where they were going back and forth, you could hear her say, put on a condom, or the condoms are there, over there in the chair. And Puff came in a room and confronted them, what are y'all doing? And she said something along the lines of, um, you promised, you promised And they said, what, when he said you promised, what was you referring to? She said, he promised that we would use condoms this time. Diddy said that they were fine. And I think she said from her facial expressions and body languages, he could tell that she didn't want to. He reluctantly gave in. It wasn't good. Okay, let's move on. They said, what happened after this encounter with Dawn? She said that he finished on her. So the entertainment was not allowed to finish inside. They finished on the outside. After that, the entertainment would be escorted out. She and Diddy would go to a different room. Now I've established for you all that there's typically two different rooms for the freak offs. You have one where you freak off, and you have one where you go back to acting like you are Mr. and Mrs. Doubtfire. Are y'all following me? Okay. So listen, when the entertainer left, Diddy tagged himself in, and she said in Vegas, the rounds were 8 hours. Diddy, and they said, who decided the rounds? Who decided how long the rounds would be? Who decided how many men would participate in the rounds? She said, Sean would. Okay. Prosecution asked her, did you get tired? She says, yes. And she broke down. That was a very, very emotional moment. Did you get tired? And tired means I couldn't go no more. Did you get tired? She did respond, yes. It was a very raw moment. She said they said, how did you communicate? How come you didn't say stop? She said, I would communicate to him that I was tired. I couldn't take anymore. I couldn't do anymore. They said, how did you communicate that to your partner? She said, I would look over at him. I would make faces. What was his response to that? They said, how come you didn't say anything? Why didn't you say you wanted to stop? She started crying again. And she said, she would make faces to indicate him, hey, tap me out. I can't. I don't want to no more. And they asked her what would happen then. She testified under oath that he would come in and give her ecstasy to keep her awake. They asked her how much. She said multiple doses of ecstasy. And the prosecution said, what happened after that? She said she would cry after hotel night. She had a breakdown 2 times. They asked her when. She told them when. And they said, one of the wins, when did you cry? She said one of the times was earlier on in the relationship. So her and Diddy started messing around in May of 2021. About, I'm going to say, 30 to 60 days after that, she was full blown into freak offs, okay? She was full blown into freak offs. He wasted no time. Sometime between May 2021, between the third and the sixth day, month, she had a breakdown after an 18-hour cycle. She said she just couldn't take it anymore, y'all. She felt lonely. She felt sad. She cried. She couldn't stop herself from crying. And he was right there. And she lied to him. She said she just needed a hug. She just wanted him to comfort her. She was lying because she didn't want to disappoint him or make him feel like she couldn't handle it. So what he did is he put her in the shower. They took a shower together, and she said, Puff, he did. Diddy looked at her and he said, listen, you crying. You crying. And they said, what happened after that? She said, I was allowed to sit next to him after the shower. But he did tell her, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. That particular time she was allowed to sit next to her, he gave her a little bit of affection, y'all, as if it was a treat. So let's go ahead and move on. I think my phone is going. The second cry was in a hotel, right? She said she was high out of her mind, out of her mind. This is her testimony, not me. She said he had given her so many drugs. She was high out of her mind that he had to intervene. He gave her a shower. She was crying. She was breaking down psychologically. She couldn't hold it together. It was just too much on her body. And they said, what did he give you? He gave me ecstasy. What happened in the shower? I was crying uncontrollably. Then Diddy started crying. And she said at one point, Diddy told her, don't do this right now. Don't start crying. You messing up my high. I'm too high. Okay. And then we talked about, so the second cry is when he left her in the hotel room after the 30 to 40-hour stint, when he left her to go be with Young Miami. Okay. So let me go on. And I think I've covered most of it. I just want to make sure I'm doing due diligence. Let me get into the psychological impact of it all. Let me tell you what I believe. Coercion. Trigger warning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here's what I believe, and this is going to be very tough. I think what we're witnessing and what we've seen and what we're hearing in the courtroom is a very sophisticated style of rape. Very sophisticated style of rape. It doesn't start off by being forced into anything. That's not what I'm talking about. It starts off as giving consent. I'm only talking about Jane Doe, this witness. I'm not referring to anybody else, okay? It starts off as consensual. She's enjoying it. She said she is. And then at some point, after many hours, scientifically, biologically, physically, she can't go on anymore. This is what I mean by sophisticated style of rape. When you feed her drugs to push her and she's beyond a coherent state to be able to make a choice for herself, that's what I mean by sophisticated style of rape. When somebody can't go on anymore, you don't give them more drugs on top of drugs to get what you need out of them. And what it seems like, for lack of a better word, is that it's as if Diddy has developed an appetite for torture, sexual torture, in the most beautiful way. Okay? In the most beautiful way. At one point, she said she was so uncomfortable, she was ready for it to stop. And she tried to speed it up. They asked her, how did you try to speed it up? She said, I tried to get to the happy ending. See, Diddy didn't want them to jump straight into sex, according to her testimony. He liked long foreplay. Foreplay could last as long as 4 hours. But what she was trying to do is hurry up and engage in the physical act, and he would come in and stop it and say, hey, listen, I'm not ready to see that yet. Very, very detailed, okay? She said sometimes the sessions would be grueling. They would be torturous. And this is a form of orchestrated rape. Now that I'm listening to it, under duress. That's what I mean, under duress of drugs. Almost damn near overdosing, if you ask me. You see, at that point, when somebody's incoherent and they're damn near, see you later. You too, you too. They're beyond the point of no return. You can't give them drugs to push them. And that's what I mean by that, okay? Orchestrated. And I think at that point, that's when his dark side may kick in. And I think that's why the sessions last so long, because it may not be about it may not be about the sex. I'm starting to think as I get into the psychological piece. I think it's the loss of control, going off grid, how a woman looks when she's so high. And I think that's what he gets off on. I want to come back to that because I only have a certain amount of percentage. But here's the thing. She was not in the right state of mind to give consent after a particular period of time. Hold on, because I want to make sure I don't lose y'all. All right, here we go. After a particular time, it appeared from her testimony that she was not in the right state of mind to continue to give consent. And this is where I think they're going to jam him up because he continued to give her drugs. He fed her drugs when her body, her mind, and her spirit were not connecting. That's where we're going to get into the coercion, right? So if you think about a RICO charge, remember I told you all last night, look, you only need 2 incidents in a 10-year period. We have the bribery that's been established with the Intercontinental Hotel security staff, and now we start to get into coercion. Coercion is pushing her beyond her limits after consent when she's no longer of sober mind. That's number 2. The state can rest there or they can pick up the drugs. So they get into the drug handling, who was running drugs. When they would run out of drugs, they dropped the names, the list of people, how they would come to the hotel. They asked her to name the folks that he would call. She named security, she named assistants, she named KK, she named everybody. Somebody named Felito, baby Raheem. I don't know who y'all are, but listen. And then it got to a point where she was being asked to run drugs from Miami to Los Angeles, back and forth, back and forth. And that they said, did you ever think to ask or inquire, was this legal and or if it's safe? She said she asked KK, is this Should I be doing this? Is it safe? And KK responded, you good. I do it all the time. They asked her, where did you place the drug? She said, in my suitcase. I would carry it in my luggage on and off the airport, on and off the aircraft. Y'all, you know that's illegal. That's federal time if that girl would have got caught. So, anywho, um, they just go through all of these text messages of her. There will be times that he would not see her. And, the timeline adds up because if you think about what was going on between 2021, 22, and 23, Diddy was with I think Young Miami, Gina, and her, and God knows who else was on the roster. Um, at one point, she did text him and say, listen, I can't do this anymore. I need out. I need a break from you. And however, I don't want to feel obligated to you. They asked her, what do you mean by feeling obligated to him? She said he was paying my rent. So Diddy was paying, she would get an allowance of $10,000 a month. But instead of her choosing to receive her allowance, she picked a home where the rent was $10,000 a month. And her reason for continuing the freak offs and the hotel nights is because she was afraid that Diddy would take the house away. Now, here's my thing. I'm not sure if that's a strong enough reason for them to bring a charge and really say, because, y'all, I don't know prosecution. Being a woman is not a disability. I say that all the time. You cannot continue to do something or utilize, well, I did it because I didn't want to lose access to a nice home. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm not sure where they're trying to go with that. They did ask her the shortest hotel night that she's ever done. I think she said 8 hours. And the longest that she's ever done was 30 to 40 hours. That's pretty grueling. There's just been a lot of text messages that they went through, and they talked about the drugs, how she felt like she had to take drugs. And there was a time that she had become so dependent on drugs that she felt like she was addicted and may still be. So she said that she had an 18-hour cycle where she tried to do all of this sober. And it was the most torturous, uncomfortable, psychologically damning experience she's ever endured. She couldn't do it. She could not perform soberly. Her thoughts captured her and held her prisoner. And she was asking herself, what are you doing? What have you become? And at that point, it became so overwhelming that she looked at Diddy and said, give me one. They asked her, what did you mean by one? She said, an ecstasy pill. Did he give it to you? Yes, he did. Mm. Give me 1 second. So I told you she attempted to pull off a freak off, an 18-hour freak off by not doing drugs. At one point, I do believe if I'm correct, she quit drugs for 30 days and Diddy threw her a sobriety party. The sobriety party consisted of reintroducing her to drugs, okay? I wanted to mention that. I think outside of that, let me say this. I wanted to talk about the drugs. The drugs that she was carrying from, I said Miami, LA, they always originated from Los Angeles. So these pink powders, this pure cocaine and all of that. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Queen of the South. And I couldn't help but to wonder if there's some type of exotic dealer that's stationed and or based in LA. And Ray J, they're tying that to you. They're tying that to you, Ray J. That's where you come into the picture. That's all I got today. Woo! I will see y'all on Monday. God bless you.